Well, we got a big guest here at the hangar today. Not the nicest weather day, but a very special day. Where is this DC-6 coming from? Where's it going? And what's it hauling? Let's figure that out.
What's all this all about, this big guy?
They got a bunch of dogs in there, I guess.
Oh, do they?
Yeah. What does that say, Chucky?
Social distancing. No.
What's that?
Those dogs aren't 6 feet apart.
Okay, let's tackle where is the DC-6 coming from and where is it going? The aircraft is owned by our friends at Everts Air Cargo. They operate a long list of cargo aircraft that service the remote locations of Alaska. Everts is the world leader in DC-6 operations and remote fuel delivery. But with ongoing acquisitions of more modern aircraft, they were looking for a good home for this special bird. Luckily, with workhorses with long histories, there's always a few airlines and aviation groups that want to preserve a part of their history. This lucky group that is receiving this DC-6 just happens to be former employees and fans of an airline that has been lost to the constant mergers and buyouts that plague the airline industry. The airline was called Brothen Safe and operated as Norway's flagship airline starting in 1946 and lasted into the new millennium as it was slowly merged into the modern-day SAS. With Brathen's historic legacy at risk of being lost to time, a dedicated group has found the last surviving DC-6 was in Alaska, and they reached out to Everts and they made a deal to fly her back home to Norway. It is to my understanding that this will be the DC-6's last trip, as it will be going into static display, which basically means the aircraft will be put into a situation where it will no longer be able to fly, but it'll be available to the public to see. I briefly overheard my father talking about this to the Everts crew a few weeks ago. All I really heard was they needed to have a DC-6 stop in Yellowknife for some fuel on its way to Norway. But it wasn't until I was asked to join a DC-6 ferry Facebook group that I learned more info about this international mission. The first leg was to fly from Fairbanks, Alaska to Yellowknife, Northwest Territories, Canada. The relatively short hop would be used to get the plane dialed in and get things ready for the long haul. On board was the amazing crew from Everts Air Cargo, led by the owner himself, Rob Everts, who actually brought me some beer from Alaska, so thank you, Rob. The time here in Yellowknife would be as short as possible, though. They took some fuel and checked the weather, as, believe it or not, Yellowknife was their one and only stop. The next big leg would be a straight shot, direct flight to Stavanger, Norway. This right here is just a testament to the Douglas design. What seems like a normal flight in a modern jetliner would be a game changer back in the 1950s. And to be honest, to top it off, if they really wanted to land and add an extra stop, they might not be able to, as most borders are closed and have very strict social distancing guidelines. Lucky enough, the DC-6 crew and passengers have been fully tested for COVID-19, and the NWT has been one of the luckiest places on earth, as we've been COVID-free here for over a month, knock on wood. So we welcome the DC-6 as one of the only safe spots they can land and refuel. Also, Yellowknife must almost feel like home to the boys from Alaska, as most people are shocked to see a Curtiss C-46 in the wild. But not Rob Everts and his crew. They have the largest commando fleet in the world. On many occasions, Buffalo Airways has reached out to Everts and they have helped us keep our C-46s flying by lending us parts. And we're happy to help out with their mission today. But even more importantly, we needed to give their world champion passengers a pee break.
We got sled dogs, champion team from the Iditarod in here.
That's right, this airplane is full of sled dogs from Norway, and not just any sled dogs. These are the 2020 Iditarod champions. The Iditarod is the world's most famous and longest running sled dog race in the world. It is scientifically the most ultimate test of endurance for any animal on the planet. But after winning the race, and due to the COVID-19 lockdown, the team was stuck in Alaska and unable to travel home to celebrate their huge win. So that bad timing couldn't have happened at a better time. The DC-6 has lots of space to give the champions the most epic ride home imaginable. But right now in Yellowknife, they have to pee. As fun as our time was with the DC-6, it had to be very short-lived, as once they had their thousands and thousands of liters of avgas in their wings, they had to book her out of town because they had a 15-hour flight ahead of them. So Rob, where are you off to?
Norway. One last time. Okay, lady. See you later.
As we went home that night and went to bed, the DC-6 soldiered on into the night. The next morning, I awoke, had my cup of coffee, and watched live as the aircraft landed in Norway and got a hero's welcome. As the aircraft touched down in Norway, I couldn't help but be so proud of the team from Everts for getting the aircraft there safely. The whole crew in Norway that had the foresight to save the heritage of this airplane. And in fact, anybody who's ever worked on this aircraft its entire life, this moment was for them. But let's rewind the clock and appreciate what just happened. This DC-6 started her career in Hong Kong in 1958. Over the many years, she's racked up over 50,000 flight hours. Imagine the thousands and thousands of passengers that rode with her. The millions and millions of tons of cargo she flew all over the world. She even took a break to fight the wild forest fires up here in Canada. Then she moved into her golden years and worked in Alaska, hauling fuel and supplies to people who had no access to the outside world. It's not every day you get to witness the end of a marvelous career. Now on a rainy runway in Yellowknife, she takes off for the final time. I think so.
Best day of 2020 so far.